Hello, welcome to a new episode about using FreeCAD 1.1 together with a CAM workbench to generate G-code for the CNC. In this episode, we are going to talk about the pocket operation, and I remind you that this is the second part about the pocket operation. If you haven't watched the first video, please follow the link and first watch that one, because there I explain the base of the pocket operation. In this episode, we are going to pick some particular cases and show you how to solve the issues that might appear. If you want to help me keep doing what I'm doing, you can do that by either subscribing to my Patreon page, where you can find all the videos without any interruptions, without any ads. You can visit my Ko-Fi page, where you can make a one-time small donation. On my Ko-Fi page, you will find the FreeCAD CAM 1.1 book, which, by buying, be it in a digital or in a physical version, helps me continue what I'm doing, and you will get access to all the information in just one place. And if you want an interactive learning experience, visit the link in the description of the video to book your spot in the FreeCAD CAM class that starts on May 14th. As you've seen in the first video, running the simulator will show that there are some problems at the corners. Let's first fix this problem. This fix is valid for any type of pocket that has open edges. Open edges means edges that don't have a vertical wall next to them. To expand the toolpath so these three corners get milled, we need to set extensions. The extend corners is by default checked if two edges are connected, otherwise it is not going to be checked. But if I have open edges that are next to each other, I will have this extend corners option, which, let me show you what it does. Here you can see the extension, the yellow area. Using the extend corners, if I uncheck this one and select the two edges, you can see that this corner area here is not going to be included. Let's check this option. Let's leave it like it was by default, and I have a list of the automatically detected extensions. You need to know that the ones that are automatically detected are the only extensions that we can enable. We cannot create an extension manually. Let's click on it to see what it refers to. We want to extend the toolpath there, and let's check it. Click on apply. Let's go back to the simulator to see the difference. And now the pocket, the corner pocket, is almost perfect, except this one, which we cannot solve right now. But these two have a straight face. This corner doesn't have that extra material left. And that is because extensions mean extending the face that the cutter can move above. If we don't have extensions, the cutter will have to stay inside this face, and this means it won't reach with its highest point this corner. When using extensions, the default extension's length is half of the tool bit diameter. If we enable that extension, the tool bit will travel, so its highest point will be touching this edge. Let's change the default length. Let's edit and reset the expression. And now let's set here, instead of 3, let's set an extension of 13 millimeters, just so you can see easier how the length modifies the calculated face. We can call this entire area the calculated face, which is the main face, the base geometry, and the pink area, which is the extension. Clicking on the apply button shows us that the toolpath for this pocket operation will consider this whole area as a single face that it has to mill. Generally, the default length, which is equal to half of the tool diameter, is just fine for extensions, so the corners get milled correctly. The pass extension can enlarge or reduce the area that is going to be milled. Let's set a top view so it's easier to see. And let's set a pass extension of 5 millimeters. Click on the apply button, and you can see the toolpath is now 5 millimeters smaller on all sides. It is a little bit shifted to the left because I have the extensions here. If I uncheck the extensions, now the toolpath is perfectly centered into the face that we want to mill. A positive pass extension will actually reduce the area that is going to be milled. Setting a negative pass extension, for example this -2, will make the milled area larger, but this also means that the shape of the model won't be exactly the same when running the job. Let's go to the simulator. scroll to the end, zoom in a little bit, I will show the model. It's pretty obvious that the milled area is larger than the model. So remember, negative makes the pocket larger, positive makes the pocket smaller. So if you want to make one pass and leave some material for a finishing pass, use a positive pass extension. We can add a start point to a pocket shape operation. We have here at the end of the data tab the two values, the start point, the coordinates, and the boolean value use start point, which by default is set to no. Let's first set the coordinates of the starting point, which can be done by right-clicking on the operation and selecting start point selection from the menu. And now I can move the mouse around and click where I want the starting point. You can see that I have some snapping enabled. These are the snapping options inside the draft workbench. If I want to have snapping enabled for other situations, for now I have center of face, center of edge, and endpoint, I can anytime switch to the draft workbench and just click to enable or disable any of the snapping options. Let's go back to the CAM workbench now, and let's set this corner as the starting point. The default behavior does basically nothing. You can see the toolbit will go to that point using the safe and clearance height, then go back to where it originally started the operation and continue milling just as no starting point was set. If I need the operation to actually start milling from this corner, there is one more thing that I need to set. Double-click on the pocket shape operation and check the min travel option. You can now see that the toolpath will start in the closest point to the selected starting point, to the closest toolpath point to the selected starting point. The min travel option, when enabled, changes a few things about the toolpath. Let's go to the simulator and see how the toolpath is created now. And you can see that it first mills the entire layer, then the next layer, and so starting from the corner that I've set the start point in. But if I edit the pocket shape operation and change the step over to 80%, let's click on the apply button, click on OK, and now let's open the simulator again. You can see that now it will cut the outer toolpath down to the final depth, then move on to the next toolpath. And depending on the distance between the toolpath lines, it might go all the way down to the bottom or mill multiple at the same time. This happens because the min travel option makes a pocket operation optimize everything so the travel is minimum. The distance between these two layers is smaller than between these two passes, and this means it will first go here and mill all the layers. Only after that, it will go to the central toolpath. If you want to have a starting point, you want to have the min travel option enabled so the starting point is taken into account, use a step over percent so the distance between two passes is smaller than the distance between two layers. In this case, I think about 70% should do it. With a step over of 70%, you can see the toolbit will first mill the entire layer and then progress from one layer to the other. Now let's add this face, which also has a hole inside of it. If I click on the apply button, you can see the toolpath is not going to mill this area at all, and that is because the toolbit won't fit here. I can solve this in two ways. First, I can enable the extensions, and let's see this wire, which even though cannot be seen on the screen, is a combination of the four edges. Let's click on the apply button, and now it's easy to see that the toolpath will also mill this area, going exactly on the edge of this pocket. After running this operation, I will end up with a raised area here where a hole should be. I can create a new operation and make all the milling down to the final depth, but I want this operation to mill the entire area, which probably will be faster, and then mill this pocket just the necessary depth. Let's open the pocket shape operation again and check this option, which is use outline. What this does is it ignores any holes or islands inside the face set as base geometry for the pocket operation. It's important to note that not only the holes are going to be milled, but also when I have islands, such as in this case. Let's select this face, click on the Add button to add it to base geometry, click on Apply, and the toolpath will also mill this area. The fourth option here is use rest machining. What rest machining does, it takes into account all the operations that are before the current one in the job, and any material that has been removed using one of those operations won't be milled again because it would mean just useless airtime. Let's click OK and close this pocket operation. Now let's select the bottom face of this lower area and create a new pocket operation, and we will check the Use Rest Machining option. Clicking on OK and hiding the initial shape shows us a pretty weird toolpath. This is because the rest machining doesn't work okay when the operations use the offset pattern. If I want to use the rest machining option, I'll have to modify the pattern for all the previous operations from offset, most probably to zigzag offset, which outputs the same result. And now, if I compute again the second operation, you can see that it only mills the remaining material. It doesn't create any toolpath above this face. The order of the operations is essential when I use rest machining. Let's edit the job, go to work plan and move the second operation above the first one. Clicking OK will create a toolpath at the higher level because this one is not already milled, and when milling the second pocket, the toolbit will go over all this area because this one doesn't have rest machining enabled. If you change the order of the operations just as I've shown you using the job dialog in the work plan tab, everything is okay. If you change the order using drag and drop, let's move the second operation above the first one, you can see that the toolpath hasn't been recomputed, and this means I will have a very deep plunge at the beginning of this operation because I dragged the operation instead of setting it using the work plan tab. The operations won't be recomputed until I open them and close them again, or right-click and select Recompute Object. Now let's create a new operation for this area. Let's check the min travel option, also check the Use Outline, click on the Apply button, and we get this toolpath, which, as you can see, even though I have the min travel option, it still raises and lowers the toolbit many times for each of these passes. We can reduce that amount of move once by going to the Data tab. This option is not available in the Pocket Edits dialog. Here we have an option called Keep Tool Down. If we check this option too, you can see that a large amount of up and down movements has been removed. The toolbit will mill all this area, then just move to the next without having to raise the toolbit. If we take a look at the cycle time with the Keep Tool Down option enabled, we have 41 seconds. If we uncheck this one, we have 1 minute and 2 seconds, which is 50% longer. We also have an option here which is called Start At. We have two values for it, center and edge. And even though I have center selected, you can see that the milling will start at the edge, and that is because of the min travel option. If I want to be able to change the start at and make the operation start at the center, I have to uncheck the min travel option. But the toolpath will still be pretty fast because the Keep Tool Down will avoid a lot of up and down movements and will also try to reduce the movements because it tries to go to the closest toolpath line that hasn't been milled in an optimized way. Now let's change the start at to edge, and you can see the first line going to the edge. If we set it to center, it will go to the center of the shape that we want to build. Now let's move to this circular cutout on the edge of the model because this is a particular pocket case where a lot of problems might occur. This happens because the extensions for this type of surface will be continued using the straight line, meaning no matter what extensions I set, the toolpath will always leave a small piece of material here. Let's enable the extension and let's go to the simulator. It's pretty obvious that here is a roundover and the circular feature here is not correctly represented. The easiest solution for this problem is to combine the pocket shape operation with a profile operation. Select the top edge, create a new profile operation, scroll down to the final depth, select the bottom edge, and click on the arrow next to final depth. And that is all. Now the profile operation is created. It already looks great, but just to make sure, let's toggle between viewing the model and the stock and the cut material. Everything is exactly as it should be in the model. I've told you that the pocket operation only accepts flat surfaces, and to show you that, let's select this face which is at an angle, create a new pocket operation, click on apply, and I have an error. Even if I try to select the side faces and then add them to the base geometry after clearing the bottom face, click on apply, I have the exact same error, so I cannot use this method to create a pocket operation. There is the mill face, which behaves similar to a pocket operation, and it will also accept this type of faces with an angle here. It will still create a toolpath up to the first point in the base geometry. Of course, leaving some material uncut here, but the main part of the pocket will be made. After that, I can use another operation to clear the remaining material. So now you know how to create a pocket operation for various types of base geometry, how to solve situations when a pocket shape operation won't work, how to clear corners, how to use rest machining to avoid useless airtime. If you combine all that information, I'm sure that you will be able to mill almost anything that you can imagine on your CNC. Thank you for watching. See you next time.